You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Tim Cyclesman Wood, editor of Cycles News and Views on Cyclesman.com. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Jim, thanks for having me.
The yelling sellers, as I call them on some of the financial networks, keep telling us, there's nowhere to go but up. I think there should be a warning here, right, Tim?
Well, Jim, I said back in August when it finally cracked, we saw the first crack. I said that there would be false hopes and false bottoms, and nothing's changed with that. The Dow theory primary trend change that occurred on August 21st, I think it was, is still intact. As the Dow theory said, it's considered to be in force until you have a reversal with the opposite trend change, which we have not seen a bullish primary trend change. So the bearish trend change is still in force. The structure, looking at cycles, is still, what it is. I mean, it still looks like, the evidence suggests that we've seen the 4-year cycle top. And so what we're seeing is backing and filling and counter-trend rally and more false hope maybe than some of us thought, but it looks like a false bottom, and it's spun false hope. And I think that's exactly where we are. And it's going to, and that said, it's going to continue until we get the next short and intermediate term sell signal, and then it'll be set up again for the next leg down.
Tim, you were warning people about this early in the spring. You kept saying, what are you doing keeping your money in the equity markets right now?
Well, because the evidence had become overwhelming. And what's funny about this business is that people don't listen until they start to feel the pain. During the summer, you warned about, things not looking so good. And in July, I mean, it really just blows my mind what I wrote in that opening paragraph in the July letter warning about what was about to happen with the opening shot in August. And, people don't listen to that. And right now it's very quiet. I mean, the market's up. What's to worry about? Wrong again, right? And so it's just the nature of the beast. And unfortunately, most people don't listen until after they've suffered, pain. And for most people, or I'll say this another way, for that pain threshold is different for everyone. They have their own level. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is that in spite of the fact that the market's holding, nothing has changed, and people are going to be people, and that in and of itself is what creates the cycle. You're right. If you know that every minute the light turns red or green, whatever the case may be, and you walk out there at 58 seconds, you should expect that the light's going to turn before you get across the street, and you're going to get hit or potentially hit or be in the way. Of the oncoming traffic. I mean, it's predictable is what I'm saying. And it's not predictable in the sense that people, in a rigid way where you can say, okay, at 1 minute the light's going to change, but it's predictable in the sense that you can say when it sets up, things are going to turn. And, we saw the setup. We clearly saw the setup. I mean, I warned about the setup. We specifically talked about it in the July letter. And so people don't, it's amazing. They don't know what they don't know, and I just don't know how to explain that, but like right now is the perfect example. I mean, nobody really thinks that we can go back down below the August lows or that we're even in a bear market. And yet that's what the setup suggests. And that's what the statistics suggest. How long this thing lingers here, well, I don't know that any more than you do. It's going to linger until we get another setup. When we get the next setup, or at the short and intermediate term level, then okay, then we know it. But until we see that, then it's in limbo land.
We'll have more with Tim Wood right after this.
More and more people are looking to the internet. for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Tim Cyclesman Wood. Tim, what do you expect to happen in the crude oil market?
Well, we have an ongoing counter-trend rally in crude oil, just like we've had in everything else. Gold has bounced some, and now it's trying to fade. Nothing goes up or down in a straight line. And crude oil has been moving, if you think about it, it bottomed and has been moving up pretty much, not exactly. I mean, things aren't joined at the hip, but in a general sense, crude oil and equities have been bouncing together. And that's what we're seeing is counter-trend bounces. How high it goes, again, the answer is, and I know that people don't understand this if they're not looking at if they don't understand the work, but I know you understand that. The counter-trend bounce in crude oil, just like everything else, is going to continue until we get the setup to cap it. When we get the setup to cap it, then it's over, it's done. And we will see the setup as it happens, not, after the fact. We see those things. So someone that doesn't understand that say, oh, well, you're saying it's going to go up till it goes down. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's going to go up till we get the setup, and then we will know based on that setup. And it's the same thing with equities. It's all counter-trend bounces.
Mm-hmm. One thing I've noticed is that the love affair with gas guzzlers is back on.
Well, good. I think we need to burn more gas. That's part of the cycle. It's all part of the cycle. If you'll remember back in 2000, it seems like it was 2001 too. I remember the Hummer was becoming very, very, very popular. And then gasoline prices started going up, and those things, you didn't hardly see them anymore. And so it's part of the cycle. But yeah, where I'm at, gasoline is $1. I'm seeing signs $1.86 a gallon, $1.88 a gallon. We're well under $2 a gallon.
Well, so you're paying less than 50 cents a liter, while here we're paying, right now, $1.12, but we have to buy our oil in American dollars.
Right, and I'm sure that you guys have more taxes probably on your oil.
Vancouver has the highest gasoline taxes in Canada.
Right.
17-cent a liter tax for transit.
Wow. Well, the government's got to get their share. You're
Tim,
right.
What's happening with gold?
It's been a counter-trend bounce, and I think ultimately the short term is already rolling over. We have the 9-year cycle top. The short term and intermediate term has been up. We had a short-term sell signal. I can't remember. I'm not looking at the chart a day or two ago. And now, if we see the setup for the intermediate term, if it follows, then that the higher degree intermediate term bounce will be over, and the resumption of the downtrend will continue. So, looking for confirmation or their lack thereof of the structure to cap the intermediate term advance. But bottom line, I think it's another counter-trend advance.
Somebody told me in times like this, it's a good idea to not stock up on gold bullion, but on gold and silver coins because they're affordable.
Yeah, I like the junk silver myself. I mean, back in the day, back in 2000, 2001, I bought a bunch of that stuff. I've since sold it, but I bought a bunch of that stuff. It was dirt cheap, and it was just a trade for me. But yeah, I like the old coins, absolutely. But I do think that there's going to be a better buying opportunity down the road in both gold and silver.
Tim, thanks a lot for chatting with us.
Jim, thank you very much for having me.
And Monday is Canadian Thanksgiving, so start eating the turkey early.
Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My guest has been Tim Cyclesman Wood, editor of Cycles News and Views on cyclesman.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Net. Check out our popular YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Comments about the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.